Paper 50. The Planetary Princes. While belonging to the order of Lananandek's sons, the planetary princes are so specialized in service that they are commonly regarded as a distinct group. After their Melchizedek certification as secondary Lananandeks, these local universe sons are assigned to the reserves of their order on the constellation headquarters. From here they are assigned to various duties by the system sovereign, and eventually commissioned as planetary princes and sent forth to rule the evolving inhabited worlds. The signal for a system sovereign to act in the matter of assigning a ruler to a given planet is the reception of a request from the life carriers for the dispatch of an administrative head to function on this planet whereon they have established life and developed intelligent evolutionary beings. All planets which are inhabited by evolutionary mortal creatures have assigned to them a planetary ruler of this order of sonship. 1. Mission of the Princes. The planetary prince and his assistant brethren represent the nearest personalized approach, aside from incarnation, that the eternal Son of Paradise can make to the lowly creatures of time and space. True, the Creator's Son touches the creatures of the realms through his spirit, but the planetary prince is the last of the orders of personal sons extending out from paradise to the children of men. The infinite spirit comes very near in the persons of the guardians of destiny and other angelic beings. The universal Father lives in man by the pre-personal presence of the mystery monitors, but the planetary prince represents the last effort of the eternal Son and his sons to draw near you. On a newly inhabited world, the planetary prince is the sole representative of complete divinity, springing from the Creator Son, the offspring of the universal Father and the eternal Son, and the divine minister, the universe daughter of the infinite Spirit. The prince of a newly inhabited world is surrounded by a loyal corps of helpers and assistants, and by large numbers of the ministering spirits. But the directing corps of such new worlds must be of the lower orders of the administrators of a system, in order to be innately sympathetic with and understanding of the planetary problems and difficulties. And all of this effort to provide sympathetic rulership for the evolutionary worlds entails the increased liability that these near-human personalities may be led astray by the exaltation of their own minds over and above the will of the supreme rulers. Being quite alone as representatives of divinity on the individual planets, these sons are tested severely, and Nebadon has suffered the misfortune of several rebellions. In the creation of the system sovereigns and the planetary princes, there occurs the personalization of a concept that has been getting farther and farther away from the universal Father and the eternal Son, and there is an increasing danger of losing the sense of proportion as to one's self-importance, and a greater likelihood of failure to keep a proper grasp of the values and relationships of the numerous orders of divine beings and their gradations of authority. That the Father is not personally present in the local universe also imposes a certain test of faith and loyalty on all these sons. But not often do these world princes fail in their missions of organizing and administering the inhabited spheres, and their success greatly facilitates the subsequent missions of the material sons, who come to engraft the higher forms of creature life on the primitive men of the worlds. Their rule also does much to prepare the planets for the paradise sons of God, who subsequently come to judge the worlds and to inaugurate successive dispensations. 2. Planetary Administration. All planetary princes are under the universe administrative jurisdiction of Gabriel, the chief executive of Michael, while in immediate authority they are subject to the executive mandates of the system sovereigns. The planetary princes may at any time seek the counsel of the Melchizedeks, their former instructors and sponsors, but they are not arbitrarily required to ask for such assistance, and if such aid is not voluntarily requested, the Melchizedeks do not interfere with the planetary administration. These world rulers may also avail themselves of the advice of the 24 counselors, assembled from the bestowal worlds of the system. In Satania these counselors are at present all natives of Urantia, and there is an analogous council of 70 at the constellation headquarters, also selected from the evolutionary beings of the realms. The rule of the evolutionary planets in their early and unsettled careers is largely autocratic. The planetary princes organize their specialized groups of assistants from among their corps of planetary aides. They usually surround themselves with a Supreme Council of 12, but this is variously chosen and diversely constituted on the different worlds. A planetary prince may also have as assistants one or more of the third order of his own group of sonship, and sometimes, on certain worlds, one of his own order, a secondary Lananandek associate. The entire staff of a world ruler consists of personalities of the infinite spirit and certain types of higher evolved beings and ascending mortals from other worlds. Such a staff averages about 1,000, and as the planet progresses, this corps of helpers may be increased up to 100,000 or more. At any time need is felt for more helpers, the planetary princes have only to make request of their brothers, the system sovereigns, and the petition is granted forthwith. Planets vary greatly in nature and organization and in administration, but all provide for tribunals of justice. The judicial system of the local universe has its beginnings in the tribunals of a planetary prince, which are presided over by a member of his personal staff. The decrees of such courts reflect a highly fatherly and discretionary attitude. All problems involving more than the regulation of the planetary inhabitants are subject to appeal to the higher tribunals, but the affairs of his world domain are largely adjusted in accordance with the personal discretion of the prince. The roving commissions of conciliators serve and supplement the planetary tribunals, and both spirit and physical controllers are subject to the findings of these conciliators. But no arbitrary execution is ever carried out without the consent of the Constellation Father, for the Most High's rule in the kingdoms of men. The controllers and transformers of planetary assignment are also able to collaborate with angels and other orders of celestial beings in rendering these latter personalities visible to mortal creatures. On special occasions, the seraphic helpers and even the Melchizedeks can and do make themselves visible to the inhabitants of the evolutionary worlds. The principal reason for bringing mortal ascenders from the system capital as a part of the staff of the planetary prince is to facilitate communication with the inhabitants of the realm. 3. The Prince's Corporeal Staff. On going to a young world, a planetary prince usually takes with him a group of volunteer ascending beings from the local system headquarters. These ascenders accompany the prince as advisors and helpers in the work of early race improvement. This corps of material helpers constitutes the connecting link between the prince and the world races. The Urantia prince, Caligastia, had a corps of 100 such helpers. Such volunteer assistants are citizens of a system capital, and none of them have fused with their indwelling adjusters. The status of the adjusters of such volunteer servers remains as of the residential standing on the system headquarters, while these Urantia progressors temporarily revert to a former material state. The life carriers, the architects of form, provide such volunteers with new physical bodies, which they occupy for the periods of their planetary sojourn. These personality forms, while exempt from the ordinary diseases of the realms, are, like the early Urantia bodies, subject to certain accidents of a mechanical nature. The prince's corporeal staff are usually removed from the planet in connection with the next adjudication at the time of the second sun's arrival on the sphere. Before leaving, they customarily assign their various duties to their mutual offspring and to certain superior native volunteers. On those worlds where these helpers of the prince have been permitted to mate with the superior groups of the native races, such offspring usually succeed them. These assistants to the planetary prince seldom mate with the world races, but they do always mate among themselves. Two classes of beings result from these unions, the primary type of midway creatures and certain high types of material beings who remain attached to the prince's staff after their